welcome to Work the Left Side. It's a cheeky bonus episode. I'm joined on this episode by Mr. Radu Bulat and Deano Mitchell from British Wrestling Radio back in the day. British gamer, obviously a fan of the, friend of the show, been on numerous times, spoken to you numerous times. And basically, you two guys are here to discuss the EBW 2013 Rumble, which I had the pleasure of watching a couple of days ago. So yeah, gentlemen, thank you for joining me. How are you both?
Good, and thanks very much for the invite. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm good also. Just got off work and I'm about to share some very nostalgic memories of mine.
Yeah.
Well, this all stemmed from, obviously, Mr. Bulat, you've been on before. We had a good talked death matches, we talked X, Y, and Z. And then when I put that episode on Facebook, Dean messaged me. He was like, I was in a Rumble with that guy years ago.
Yeah.
And then we got talking. Heard stories from both sides. So I thought, yeah, obviously, you two came up with the idea of just sitting down together and just reminiscing, really, and dishing the dirt. If there's any stories to be told.
Yeah. All I remember, one of my first memories, getting invited for it. I'd just done a 24-hour charity show for a kid called Callum Murray, who needed an operation he needed to go to America for some operations, and we did one the year before, and then all of a sudden he needed some more money to go for 2013 where we did it, and I said, oh yeah, let's do it. And then from that I got this invite saying from Andy Hogg and Danielle saying, do you want to be part of the 45-man Royal Rumble? I went, 45? So what's going on here? And it all stemmed from there, and I was like, I don't want to step on people's toes. I mean, I got some backlash of people on social media, some people that went to other wrestling promotions, but because they were saying, oh, he's getting the spotlight, he's going on here, and I'm like, what have I done wrong? And I'm like, leave me out of this. But that's how it all came about. It was just an invitation to say thank you for what I did, and Callum was actually in the audience with Sharon and Rob. That was in the audience for that this day anyway, so it was magical. The first memory I had.
You went in at number 2, so you was nearly the 60-minute man.
Yeah, more or less. I think in total I was in the match about somewhere between 45 and 50 minutes, maybe a little bit over. To be fair with you, most of the time in that match, it was spent either working with people that I preferred to work with, getting a little bit annoyed at some people, and just generally trolling Mark Sanders, who was doing commentary in that.
Or biting Dean. Or biting Dean.
Yeah, bit me.
Yeah,
keep in mind.
Keep in mind, however, this was like pre Mr. Vampire, so basically the right person hadn't flown in through my window and left the 2 marks on my neck at that point.
All I remember of that is my sister. I think I got it on my phone. My family are at the back of the whole thing, and my nephew was recording it. And all he got at that moment when you were biting me, my sister was losing her mind. She's going, "Oh look, he's biting our Dean! Oh my God, look at him!" And I'm like,
"Yeah,
yes, there you go. Actions work because I've convinced my sister." So she was first thing she said afterwards. She goes, "Did he really bite you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course he did." Magical memories, magical. Just the whole thing. It was a show. I think Dave Stewart was in. Was it Shake and Vac?
He was part of a team at the time with a guy called Ben Lashmar, who played the janitor character, and their team name was Shake and Vac. It was basically that. I think it was the name of a some sort of carpet cleaner.
Yeah, I'm that old. I remember it. I remember the song.
Yeah, I don't know if you can still get it. I haven't seen it.
So does anyone have carpets? Down here. There's houses don't have carpets. They have to have this flooring. They have this flooring everywhere. So
I know I already said this before we started recording, but on the day, I actually got told by, I don't remember if it was Andy or Mikey, but they basically came up to me and they basically said that, okay, we've taught this guy how to do working punches. We taught this guy how to like do basic bumps and go over the top rope. We just need you to like, keep an eye on him. And when the time comes, get him over the top rope safely. And I was like, okay.
Yeah,
So
and you
like,
did. And you did. You
Yeah,
looked
and
after me. Yeah. I remember the training. I remember sitting in the ring before it and being called arse heavy. And I'm like, what? I'm what? And they went, you're arse heavy. And I says, what's that? And he said, you've got to get your backside up in the air. He says, you're landing on your backside. You've got to land on your shoulders. So I spent about 5 minutes trying to lift myself up and put myself onto my shoulders and then taking a clothesline off of Mikey and learning it that way. So that was an experience. I'll always remember that one. But being told I was arse heavy was one of the memories of it. I'm like, what the hell? What's that? And so
that sounds like an Andy Hogg term.
Yeah.
He always used to have it like terms and expressions and ways to describe what he meant. Not a lot of it. Most of it, I think, was kind of derived from like 80s and 90s television.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not really one to like criticize. I make a lot of like obscene, like obscure references in my day-to-day life. I think it might be just a sign of getting old. So, what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, tell me about it. On that video, I've got long blonde hair. Now I don't have any. So I look at it, I'm going, I look like, everybody calls me Dolph Ziggler. That's the one that I get more than anything else. It's like, oh my God, he looks like Dolph Ziggler. I'm like, yeah, okay, go on, get me into it. Remember Ben Green having a go at me because I had Union Jack on my shorts. And he said, that's my gimmick. That's my gimmick. What are you doing with my gimmick on your shorts? I'm like, what have I done? What have I done here? Oh. But I only did it because it was something to do with British Wrestling Radio, which was which he did at the time. So, and then I put Callum Murray down the arms on me jumper. So I remember doing that, and and the quickest pair of knee pads I've ever known. I think I was stood waiting to go into the Rumble, and I think it was number 36 something. And I was stood there, and all of a sudden he's got no knee pads. Has anybody got any knee pads? And all of a sudden, this pair of bright red knee pads appeared from nowhere. And I think I just put them on before the countdown went on, and then I went through the curtain. It was the quickest pair of knee pad changes I've ever known. It was like, oh my God, he hasn't got knee pads. What is he doing to Cody Rhodes? Because remember, Cody Rhodes had no knee pads at the time. So it's just wonderful, wonderful memories, and the whole Rumble and just seeing folks, and it was part of the tram lines, wasn't it? It shows you our big tram lines festival. It was part of the tram lines, weren't it? It's crazy.
It was a yearly thing for EBW at the time to use. Well, at the time they used the Library Theatre for their tram lines festival because they basically got the venue for free. When the venue started like asking for more money than they were worth, or alternatively, you could think of it as Andy didn't really want to shell out that much money for the venue. We had to find other places, but yeah, pretty much bang on for several, I think maybe like 5 or 6 years straight.
Yeah.
We used the Library Theatre for a lot of the tramline shows.
I think Chris Masters, he wrestled there, doesn't he? With I think it was the first Phoenix one.
Yeah, for Dave Stewart's Phoenix promotion. I was actually on that show. I did a flag match with John Green. I remember that. I will say this about that one show for Phoenix before we get back onto the subject of that Rumble. I was in the upstairs locker room with Chris Masters during that thing. And it was the first time that I'd actually been in a locker room with someone who, actually had a name, like an import that was on television and all that. And I always tell this to everyone that I ever meet whenever he gets brought up. I was sat next to him as I was like lacing up my boots, and he was rolling up a joint. I'm just going to put it that way. All right, he was using an e-cig, but you get what I mean. And when he went out to smoke it, I had like a moment where I kind of thought to myself, I was just in the room with Chris Masters, and When did any of this become normal?
Yeah.
That's not the funniest thing that happened on that day, though.
Mm.
Funniest thing that happened. I didn't actually see this, but a couple of mates of mine, young lads, they were just messing about by I don't know if you remember the lift that led down from the floor where the theatre is down to where I think it was like a coroner's office or was a coroner's office at one point. They were just messing about around there, and Chris Masters came by, and he was obviously stoned off his gourd, and this is maybe a couple of hours before showtime, and he basically kind of looked around. He was lost, and he was like, "Where's the locker room?" And they were having to point him out, to where it was. It was literally just that door there, and he had to go upstairs, and he was like, "What?" I don't know how strong that e-cig medicine might have been, but it must have been pretty strong. He obviously got over the worst of it before the time for the match, but yeah. So some people in the business do partake. Not going to criticize anyone for it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So yeah, the EBW Rumble. Where do we want to start?
Box of gimmicks, man. You mentioned a box of gimmicks to me, and I'm intrigued by this box.
The box of gimmicks. Yeah, box of gimmicks. So
I think I
a lot of
remember this.
people. Yeah, a lot of people on that show got given their gimmicks by Andy Hogg, and the gimmicks were made up by this big box of wrestling gear that I think he'd bought off of this Australian promotion, or it might have been Mr. Maskman on Facebook. I can't remember specifically, but a lot of the gimmicks were just given to you just by what was said on the side of the gear itself, like Venom, the Japanese sensation, was named so because the gear that he said had Venom on the side. And Russ Thunder Hicks got given his name because it said Thunder Hicks on the side. It's like, okay. And it just went on and on like that. And Andy was always full of these really punny names and stuff like that for his characters on his show. I think I was probably the only one who made up their own. Granted, if you're using one of your mates from Bucharest as the inspiration for your ring name, it doesn't exactly spring originality,
What about
the
Amazing Man Spider?
Yes.
The Amazing Man Spider. Dear God.
Oh,
that is going to be the funniest thing I have ever known in the history of British wrestling. That had me in tears. Oh, God.
Do you remember who that was?
No, I don't.
It was a guy. It was a guy called Sam Goodison.
Right.
Yeah. I fucking love Sam to death. I was really saddened when he decided to call it quits for wrestling right before the lockdowns. In his own words, look, he'd gotten married to his longtime fiancée, and at the time he was expecting to be a dad. And as best as I recall, last time we spoke, he recently had his second daughter, and he's doing well in his job. So you can't exactly fault him for wanting to step away. Also, I feel he kind of got burnt out with the way that wrestling had become. It's a lot more. In some ways, it's a lot more accommodating now. There's a lot less stress, but there are some things that I think he would probably dislike. But we can probably get into that later on if the time permits. But yeah, Sam was really good as a technical wrestler. But he got it on the showmanship side. In fact, he kind of reminded me of Owen Hart in a lot of ways. Not just because he used a sharpshooter for a finish, but he was a technical wrestler. He loved the showmanship, the camp show esque stuff. I think if he had left EBW and he'd gone on to camp shows like All Star or Butlins or something like that, you would have had a lot more happier time with wrestling, I think, rather than sticking around EBW at the time.
It just he went into the ring, didn't it? It's just that when he went in as Man Spider, he went in the ring, and as he went through the ropes, All I remember seeing it. Then he started for no apparent reason, just stood in the middle, and he's going and he's doing this and he's doing all these spider movements.
Yeah.
We're watching on the monitor. I'm watching on the monitor in the back, and everybody's sat round him, and they just sat on the floor, but doing their bit, and he's just stood in the middle. And then next minute he gets thrown out, comes back through the curtain, starts shouting expletives, and then he says, "What?" And he says, "What happened?" And he says, "As I was going through the ropes, my mask split went up, and I couldn't see, and I'm stood in the ring going, can somebody please body slam me because I'm doing this?" And the whole ring's going, "Suffer, suffer, just stand there, just suffer." And he stood there doing all this for about 20, 30 seconds. And everybody's just stood there ignoring him completely. And he's going, because I couldn't see. And then next minute they threw him out. And I was like, and I just hit the floor. I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And it still is to this day. When you watch it back, if you don't know, you would never know it. But he's like going, I couldn't see. This mask had slipped up, so I couldn't open me. It was totally blind. So that has got to be one of the greatest ones ever. It had to be.
Rule of thumb: if you're going to be wearing a mask, make sure that it fits, and make sure that the laces at the back are tied up as well. Unlike McMeats at the beginning of the fucking Rumble, who didn't do that. That said, however, that whole thing was just planned from the start. It's just that Joe, the guy who was playing McMeats, he could be asked putting some laces on the mask, and I think Danny Debris wanged him with his forearm a bit too hard, and that's where it fell off. Which was, you could tell that was going to be the start of of at least like an hour's worth of of funny moments. I'm still giggling about it even now, like 9 years later.
I think one of the Andy Kane's tightest shots when he went into the Rumble, and he was like, he was announcing, and then he took these trousers, and they were the tightest things I have ever seen in my life. And I'm like, what the hell? And he went after, and Sabotage went after him.
Yeah,
and he's going, oh.
I will say this about Sabotage: he really did not give two fucks who you are. If you took the piss, he would beat the shit out of you. And he did say, I mean, you said yourself before we started that he was very, very old school in his mentality. He kind of gave that with me. Like, I found one story I want to tell about Sabotage is how we became friends. It was actually in a 6-man tag. I think it was at the same venue. I think it was at least. It might have been a few months before this Rumble. Basically, I'd seen him work before, and a lot of the young guys, they knew that he liked to do the overhand chop in the corner, and he would fucking go for it. He didn't give a fuck. He didn't really give a fuck. It was hazing, basically. But the way that we had planned is that I was going to at one point come up to him and slap him in his face. And then later in the match, he was going to get his own back by chopping me. Needless to say, things didn't work out that way. He ended up chopping me first. It might have, in retrospect, actually have been something that he'd planned. Because I wouldn't say either way, but this is what happened. He wanged me one, and he then called one more time, and I kind of mentally thought to myself, that fucking sucked. And I had a handprint on my chest for a week and a half afterwards. But I said to myself, no, breathe in, or as I said last time we had a conversation, Nick, take a couple of aspirins and grit your teeth. Yeah, so basically I took the second chop, and after that point, my temperature shot way up, and I was thinking, okay, come hell or high water, I'm going to get my fucking receipt. I'm going to do the same thing that we had planned. I'm going to hit him as hard as he hit me. And so, yeah, we got work to work. A couple of minutes later, I got to the point, and I basically went up to him, and I slapped him as hard as I fucking could. He didn't fucking move. He just kind of looked at me like he wanted to fucking murder me. And the temperature was already up at that point. Adrenaline was going. I was like, I didn't say anything to him. I just kind of stared at him, and I was like, mentally, I was thinking, you fucking prick, come on, fucking have you one. But it wasn't until we got back when I asked him, was everything okay? and he gushed like a fucking like kid at Christmas.
Yeah.
I'd slapped him about as hard as I could. And he said, "Man, that was fucking sweet." And yeah, he basically like I said, he had his own little nickname for me for the first 3 months. So, as time went on, he did start to warm up to me. It became like really clear that he kind of liked me as a person when he asked, because he knew what my shoot name was, and he asked me, how come, your surname isn't like, whatever, Antonescu, Dimitrescu or something like that. And I said, well, because my parents weren't married when I was born. And I was like, okay. Yeah, and he, ever since that point, he he gave me lifts to and from shows if I needed to get get someplace. We talked like pretty openly about stuff. Like, I didn't know this at the time when I first met him, but any time that he took a booking from Andy, he would always ask that his paycheck get donated to this charity that deals with people with bipolar disorder, because he himself has a version of that stuff. I don't remember the exact name that he gave it, but I'd seen him have moments where he openly said that how much of a struggle it is to deal with bipolar disorder, and as much of a jerk and as much of a troll as he can be, I believe that his heart was in the right place. And someone who was obviously at the tail end of his career, to be willing to donate his wage to a charity is it says a lot about him as a person. It didn't make him going fucking old school on everyone during that particular Rumble or any other match that he was in. Any less painful for those involved, but it is what it is.
He just made Andy Crane run over the top rope. He just went, "Get out of here now!" And Andy Crane went, "Okay, fair enough." Andy Crane just went, "Yeah, okay, fair enough." And he jumped over the top rope and got out of there quick. But
he didn't so much jump. He kind of tried to navigate his way over that, because Andy wasn't. Andy Kane, I think, had maybe a couple of training sessions, but he kind of figured out really rapidly that he wasn't going to cut out. He wasn't cut out for the in-ring stuff, so he better off just stay on the outside and just do emceeing.
Yeah, one of the funny bits I remember is when I got invited. The first question I said to Danielle and Andy was, "Is Chris Travis in the Rumble?" And they went, "Why?" And I said, "Because if he's in it, I'm not doing it." I said, "Because he'll kill me." I said, "Because I put Trav up there. I thought he was amazing." And I'm like, "If he's in it, I'm dead." I said, "He'll kill me completely." And she went, No, he's got another booking." I went, "Oh, thank God for that." Because I just didn't want to be in the ring. Chris would be there, because I knew he'd do certain things. And I thought, no, I can't see. No, don't put me in the ring with Chris, please. And that's
yeah, Chris liked to rib people in matches.
We were supposed to a few years later, after we both done those treatments. I think it was 2015 Tramlines. We both said we should win the tag team titles on the first night of the Tramlines, and then on the second night lose the tag titles to somebody else. We had a name and everything. He says, "Oh yeah, well, let's do it." And I said, "You've got to be joking." And he says, No, the Cancer Kickers. Come on, we've got to do it. And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, we sit there planning this thing in April. We're just going to see ICW at the Academy. And next thing I know, he's like, "Oh, yeah, well, let's be tag champions and all that." He said, "Don't worry, I'll only tag you in when I need to." He said, "You'll be fine. And I'm like, "Oh, you've got to be kidding. You've got to be killing me here." He said, "Oh, no, we'll be tag champions. We'll take it off the big lads at the moment." He said, "And then we'll show them up, and then they can win the tag titles by beating the crap out of you the next night." I went, "Okay, yeah, all right." But it never happened. But he just wanted to do something crazy for Tramlines.
Yeah, that sounds like
he went under a mask, didn't he? He did that famous mask appearance, and I was like, "What was that?" And he had that outfit done that covered his tattoos up, so everybody didn't know exactly who it was.
Still knew who it was, though, didn't they?
Oh, easy. You could see it wasn't exactly hard. Just awesome, that bloke, awesome. But that rumble itself. There were so many people going in and out, coming in. I think Andy Hogg had about 5 roles in that rumble. I think he got changed about 4 or 5 times.
No, that was Maximilian. Though the story that we had on the time was basically paying for multiple positions in it because he kept on getting eliminated. Yeah. Andy did, if I recall correctly, he had 2 spots in it. I think he played as the Pretender. You can kind of tell with the way how reckless he was with the mask on that it was Andy. You know, you can sometimes tell who some people are by the way that they walk, the way that they move. Like, unless you're like really conscious about trying to mask who you are by your body movements, you can kind of tell in some cases. You know. Yeah.
He's Maximilian. Oh dear.
Oh yeah.
He's the one. He grabbed me. He grabbed me before, and he goes, right. He says, he's throwing me out, and he just pointed at me, and I went, hey, what? What are you on about? What? He went, you're gonna throw me out of the rumble. I says, why? He went, everybody hates me, and you'll get the biggest pop of the night. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. And so when you watch it back, it's the corniest throw out. I just stand there for ages and then just throw him out, and I'm like, totally starstruck. I was gobsmacked. I was just like, oh my God, I would have done. And to me, it was my WrestleMania moment. I just thought it was the best thing in the world for me. But dear me, old Max.
I saw him about, I think I saw him like nearly 2 years ago, I think, maybe. Like, he just offhandedly, he just came down to the PPW facility during the anniversary that we had there in around about April, I think. And I hadn't seen him for donkey's years. He decided to retire in 2014, 2015. I don't know. I can't remember the precise reason why, but I do remember that he got married. So I don't know. Maybe him like deciding to be deciding to give wrestling. I mean, he'd had a good run, so there's not a lot that you can do after a certain point. You know, when you're at that level and, you know, you kind of feel like you're stagnating. So I can't blame him for like wanting to, like, you know, leave the business and kind of look back and think, yeah, I had a good run. I'll go do other stuff now.
What was the prize for winning the Rumble? I forgot.
I think it was a title shot.
Yeah, it was a title.
Yeah. To be cashed in any time in the next 12 months.
I think he did it the next event or something. I'm not sure. Yeah. I think it was Ben, wasn't it? Ben Green, John Green. Yeah.
Ben Green. Yes, Ben Green. Well, John Green, should I say? Yeah. I was the last one eliminated, and as I told Nick before, I actually got concussed around 10 minutes before I was eliminated. Roundabout. Yeah. You can kind of see this around about the 44, 45 minute mark, but there was a point where, now keep in mind, I'd been in there for at least like 45, I'd been in there for like 40 plus minutes. And it was a hot day that day.
Yeah.
And although I was in good condition, like, you could see my abs and everything at that time. I hadn't quite discovered my love of Red Stripe. So basically what happened is me and Andy were just basically working with each other. He was doing his usual stuff where he kind of like didn't really care how he hit you as long as he hit you. And I was just, you know, temperature was kind of going up at that certain point. So I just decided to just let him have it with some forearms from the left and the right. And then he decided to get back at me with some forearms of his own. But on the third one, he decided to switch things up and hit me with a backhand, which hit me at the side of the head. I didn't really feel it all that much to start off with, but then I've started to feel myself falling. The lights kind of went out for a half second, and I woke up mid-fall, so I was able to protect myself. You can kind of see this on the footage.
Yeah.
You can kind of see as I'm laid there that I'm kind of like trying to shake my head, and you can see at certain points I'm even like, you know, tapping the side of my head because I was trying to like get the cobwebs to, you know, I was trying to get myself like, you know, I didn't know what had happened because I'd never been concussed at that point, or at least not to that extent anyway. But there is this funny moment I do recall. Like, Andy picked me up and put me into the corner, and you remember the accent that Andy had, don't you?
Yeah.
It was kind of I mean, he was from Essex, I think, but he spent a lot of time in Birmingham, so his accent was kind of all over the place. And he also had a slight lisp as well. So he kind of put me up in the corner. He said, "That's a good sell you got there, man." And I, for some reason, decided to respond rather deadpan. "I'm not selling. You knocked me out." But deliberate pause of stupidity between us as he kind of went, "Oh, duck this." So he takes a few steps back, comes in with his Stinger splash spot. I move out of the way, not very acrobatically. He ends up crotching himself on the top rope, and then I push him off, I think. And that's about the last thing that I remember, physically remember, in my own memory, that's the last thing that I remember until I was sat in the locker room having a Lucozade trying to get all my energy levels back. I mean, I know what I did. I've seen the footage on the Rumble numerous times, but I can tell that I was a bit out of my feet, and I was getting, you can see if you look carefully, the people that I'm working with are kind of telling me what to do, because I'm actually genuinely surprised that I was able to, cover up the fact that I was hurt and not break my neck from doing the elimination out of the Rumble. Yeah. Which probably might be a testament to just how well I was trained. Yeah. Or it might just be luck on my part. I have no idea, but it is what it is.
You were key at the end, though, dude. You were key at the end. You yelling at the other dude. You was actually directing the story and everything. So you was you were the key player. So to be able to do that in that state, that's kudos.
Yeah, my accent was really fucking weird as well. I mean, granted, this is during the days when I was putting on the very bad Romanian accent. I don't even remember what I was saying at certain points, or if it even made sense.
Well, you shouted at Maximilian just to throw him out because he was trying to tell you to throw him out. He'd paid you to throw him out. You was like, "No, you throw him out."
Yeah. I remember. I know that part. But what I was saying specifically, I can't necessarily remember because there are some parts where where Mark on commentary is talking over me. But whatever it is that I was saying, it definitely got the reaction that it needed to.
It's just I think when I looked at it back, and the moment I got eliminated and I hit the deck, all I remember is if I hadn't moved, somebody else was coming over the top rope, and they would have landed straight on the top of me if I hadn't moved that quick as I could out of the way. I think it was Curtis Norman or something. Someone came out of the top rope and he landed just where I just landed about a couple of seconds before. So I just remember remoting it back, going, "Oh, if I hadn't moved, oh my God, there'd have been a right accident there." And then Max was giving me hell walking back to the arena, going, "Get through there now, go get out of my sight." And I'm like, "What have I done here?" So, and then he just put me around when I went through curtain. He just went, "Come here," and I'm like, "Ah." So
yeah, there was. Believe it or not, there have been Rumbles that EBW promoted where they had even more people involved in it, and after a certain point, there's only so many people that you can have in a Rumble and there's only so many eliminations that you can make on a single side. Let's keep in mind that we're at the Library Theatre, and there was literally only one place, towards the audience, that we could actually work and do eliminations in. It made it very interesting, to work at. But if you're having elimination matches or any kind of match where it's essential that the audience can see what you can do, because you have to remember, majority of the ring was obscured by the curtains and the stage itself. It wasn't a very big place, but there's only so many times that you can there's only so many ways that you can eliminate someone when there's that many people in the ring before it just starts getting dangerous, especially when you have a lot of people that are inexperienced, or in your case, it was literally the only time that you actually went into a ring.
It's a wonderful venue. Just it brings back memories of doing it. And I think when I went in, I went, "Oh, last time I was in here was with my school," and that was in the 70s. And I'm like, "It's not changed a bit." But just remember just seeing the whole thing and just being in a proper little theatre. But yeah, one side to get eliminated on, and I think the crowd was into it. They were just, I know, everybody that went, but I spoke to enjoyed it. They it's something that will always remember for me. The fact that everything that happened afterwards, and EBW was always seems to be the first people to get in contact with me and things like that, seeing how I was and all the way through. And so I loved it, absolutely, I loved it, the whole experience. It's something that I'm so glad it got put on YouTube. I don't know whether I'm responsible for half of the views on it, but I've seen it quite a few times and just going, look at that. It's me moment. So
yeah, there's probably I mean, to be fair with you, there's quite a number of people in that match that went on to do other things. Not just myself. Like, I mean, not that I'm really tooting my own horn. I mean,
yeah,
fucking look now. I mean, I'm still doing Rumble things, but most of the Rumbles the one Rumble that I'm going to be involved in at the end of this month is going to be at Kumite in Derby. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. Yeah, they're a deathmatch promotion.
Oh, nice.
So basically, I mean, look at the fucking scars I've got on my fucking head these days. I've got a couple on my back as well. I grew this big, massive one, but this I've not changed too much. I've just kind of gotten more psychotic as the years have gone on. That's probably it's probably not a good sign that my mental health is in a very good place. But what can you say? You know, you don't grow old. You just get crazier.
Absolutely. And after all these years, I forgive you. I forgive you. But it just
I see you in that Kumite, and if the answer is yes, will I be able to stab you with this?
I've been stabbed with worse. I think I've got a niche for watching old things like Dirty Sanchez and things like that. Right. So I used to do some crazy stuff. But I think somebody said to me once, what aren't you willing to do in the wrestling ring? And I went, well, I'll do anything. He goes, why? I said, because if it gets the crowd going, I'll do anything. And I took on that, saying, as long as the crowd are happy, that's it, gone. Right. But I think it's through that one day that everything else that happened with me, it started a snowball effect. Because after that, I was announcing, I've been doing camera work. I did everything I else did in the rest, and I always go back to that one day, and I go, this was the start of it. And to say after what we did, and Callum was there, like I said earlier, it was just one of the magical days of my life. And it was in Sheffield as where I was born, so my family was there as well. So it just made it extra special. I just remember my brother telling me the best bit about the whole day was my brother going, do you remember when we used to wrestle when we were kids after watching World of Sport on a Saturday? And I went, yeah. He says, you've done it for real. And I went, yeah. And he says, yeah. And all my rugby league fans, my friends and everything, for Sheffield Eagles players and things like that, said, have you been in wrestling? And I went, yeah. And he said, oh my God, you all these times you told us off for telling you it's fake and everything like that. He said, and you actually done a show that we can actually see you in it. And I went, yeah. He says, how did it feel? I went, magic, absolutely magical. So it was a day that I'll always remember. Just meant this.
I'm glad I could have been a part of that.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was an absolute wonderful day, and some memories that will always take with me every single minute of it. Even Spider-Man, Man Spider.
Yes. Speaking of memories, looking through that Rumble just the other day, I saw a lot of people that I haven't seen for years, and some people that I wish I hadn't seen. But it is what it is. They're all part of my own personal history and my own personal journey through wrestling and life. And some of them I think deserve better than what they were given. Others, well, let's not get too negative.
Yeah. I just see all the people that was involved with it now. It's like cracking time. Loved it.
Yeah.
Still can't believe it's like all the musical now. It's like to me it only was yesterday, but it's so. My wife's like, "You're not doing anything more stupid with wrestling." I went, "I'm 54 now, so I thought I don't think so."
So I'm going to be 38 next month. I'm still doing more and more dangerous stuff.
Getting there.
I mean, it's an addiction. I can't really think any other thing that I've done in my life that has given me as much of a buzz as wrestling has. Like even if it's just like a regular, I mean, even the camp show stuff is still like fun to do for me, and I'm old enough now to appreciate that stuff. Like when I was first starting out, I always kind of envisioned myself as like Ring of Honor type, smart mark shows. I'd like get all the accolades and things like that somehow. And I kind of like didn't really like the camp show stuff. But these days, now I'm old enough to really appreciate, wrestling's an industry like anyone else, and you need to be like multifaceted, and you need to build up like a skill set where you can literally do any job that gets put in front of you. Like I could literally, like any promoter could come up to me and say, okay, we're doing this all-star Butlins, like family-friendly stuff. We just need you to do like, clap of hands, boo yay, face heel, pretty simple stuff. Don't need to do anything complex like that. And I'd say, okay, I'm your man. Another promoter would come up to me and say, okay, we got this deathmatch tournament going off, and we need you to do some crazy stuff involving syringes and light tubes and maybe some sort of like barefoot thumbtack spot. And I'd be like, okay, here's what I would need for that stuff, and I'd go out there and I'd do it like as well as I can, or even stuff in between. You work. Everyone knows their limits. Everyone knows their skill set because wrestlers do have like it's kind of like the way I kind of think of it. It's kind of like any other entertainment. Everyone's got their strong points. Everyone's got their skill sets. They work to what they do well, and what they do well, hopefully, they make money out of it.
Yeah.
Right, so I've got to ask, why was it a 45-man Rumble? Was it just
because Andy Hogg was fucking. That should tell you a lot. Just my expression. This isn't, like I said, this isn't the first time. Oh, that wasn't the first time that he had a 45-man Rumble. The most that I ever remember was a 60-man Rumble, and Danielle, his wife, was so fucking livid at it that it became kind of like a recurring thing for people in EBW to basically go up to her at some point and say something like along the lines of, so yeah, Andy's thinking of doing a 70, 80, 90, 100 man, a random number Rumble. And she'd just start fuming, and she would just like walk over to Andy, and it'd be kind of like, God.
It's his fault. Do you remember the 5-star tournament? The 128-man tournament, 5-star promotions with the famous one when they were offering all the money for CM Punk. Now I know where he gets his ideas from.
Probably
that 5-star promotion.
Yeah, it was his ideas either came from like that 5-star promotion, or they were basically rehashes of like old storylines from like the 80s or 90s, like WWF. Sometimes he rehashed some stories from like content. Basically, he was just kind of like an anorak, just the same as everyone else. But he kind of like promoted it on his own little show. And to be fair with you, a lot of the people that surrounded him were the same. To be fair with you, if I ever did promote a show, I'd probably do something kind of similar.
A few years later, you was involved with between. I think me, Danielle, and Andy it was at Tramlines Festival on the Sunday at Queen's Road Social. And after it finished, Danielle said to me, she goes, "Do you fancy doing it again?" I says, "Yeah, why not?" And then Mikey says, "Yeah. Let's get him to win the Rumble opposingly, and then get Radu to come out and throw him over the top rope." And then everybody thought that Dean would win it, and then no, Radu would win it. He said, screwed him over again. He said it'd be great fun, and I'm like, oh, what again? I'm like, yeah, that's all right, everything. So he said the plan was for you to run underneath the ring and stay there for a whole Rumble, and then just as I threw somebody over the top rope to win it, aka British Bulldog, and then you just throw me over the top rope to win it. He says. And I went, yeah, that'll be all right. And then I remembered, I went, how long would I have to be in the Rumble for? He went, oh, you'll be all right. You'll be fine. I'm like, oh, God, here we go again. So, but it never happened. But that was one of my favourite.
I mean, I'm not like stayed under the ring for like the entire Rumble, but Let me put it this way: I've known some stories about some people who've like decided to like try and hide under. Actually, I might as well tell you this story. It was actually a Mark Sanders story. He did a show. I can't remember where exactly it was, but he told me that it was kind of like a one-off show, and the idea was that all the heels were all part of the same faction, and they were kind of like chavs or something. And in the main event, they were supposed to like have like this group of guys that were going to come out from under the ring, and they were kind of like going to start the match from there. So what happened was that when you're under the ring, keep in mind wrestling shows go on for quite a while. And so one of the dudes under there, or they decided to basically get like a bottle of water with them, just to keep themselves nourished. But guess what happens when you drink water? Nature takes its course. So naturally, they screwed that thing up tightly and put it under the ring. So that when they started taking the ring down, they found the bottle in there because the dude had forgotten to go underneath the ring and take it. So the promoter, I can't remember who it was, but they obviously weren't particularly very understanding. They picked up the fucking bottle. They decided to get really angry, started yelling at the person, and then threw the bottle at them. 2 + 2 = 4. Let's just say that. Yeah, I think Mark referred to that person as a piss boy for quite a few years after that. I'm not saying that probably would have happened in this particular case if that plan had gone through ahead, but let me put it this way: there's no way I'm going to be staying underneath a ring for like upwards of an hour.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't imagine it happening. Let's just put it this way.
Yeah, especially these days. This time. Yeah.
The commentator, obviously, I've not watched that much EPW. Obviously, the commentator was the champ. Shout out to him. I thought he did a good job on commentary, just kind of putting everybody over, making it very clear who the good guys, bad guys were. He was a big fan of yours, dude. He kept bigging Radu up at every given opportunity.
Yeah, that was Mark Sanders. The way that a friend of mine from Georgia, the American state, not the country, the way that he described him as a Yorkshire version of Lord Alfred Hayes, which was a good compliment. Mark was very old, had a very old school presentation about himself when it comes to like his commentary. We had kind of like, if I recall correctly, we had kind of this rotating number of people doing commentary at the time. And that was before we settled on Andy Kane and I think someone else, I forget what their name was. Yeah. And then after they both left in 2016, we just kind of like just presented the matches raw with no commentary. But yeah, Mark was really good. I really miss the guy sometimes. Yeah. But yeah, he decided to like call it quits for wrestling shortly after the lockdowns. So it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, he did an appearance at Middle Last Soccer and Spandex a few years ago. So yeah, and then I think he did one of his last appearances at the wrestling, because that was the day that Soccer and Spandex decided to have a wrestling at night and have Phoenix events do the one more round. So it was a whole day thing. So I remember him doing it that night. Yeah, it was a cool day. Very stressful, but a cool day.
I will say,
Mikey as well. Just say Mikey came in at number 3 and he put in a good shift.
Oh yeah, I was ribbing Mikey throughout the entire thing. I wasn't actually good, like bantering with him and like saying, this guy here, he's a fucking drizzling shit. Like, especially the guy. You remember Jacob Page, don't you?
Yes. Yes.
Remember the dude with the fucking Tengu mask, like the fucking mask with like a massive nose on it, like
yeah.
Ryan Lee, I don't know if you remember him. He used to make really inappropriate jokes about that particular mask all the fucking time. I'm not gonna I don't want to get Nick's channel a strike or anything like that, or force him to have to stay out.
Yeah.
Needless to say, it involved a story. Let me put it this way: there's a particular story from WCW involving Raven, Perry Saturn, and Kidman. And it involves something that resembles that mask but isn't actually a mask. And let's not go any further with this because, as I said, I don't want to give Nick's channel a strike.
Yeah.
that was Ryan Lee's sense of humor, and I fucking loved him for it. Even when he kept on calling me Radu Chan for all those years.
That mask was one of the freakiest things that I've ever seen. When he came out in that Rumble, I was just like, no, just
see what that dude is like to wrestle. That's even more freakier. Like I said earlier on, I don't want to bring too much negativity, but needless to kind of tell that Mikey wasn't particularly his biggest fan. Neither were a lot of people, to be honest with you. But that's just how some people are sometimes.
Yeah. God bless Facebook.
Old Man Stan.
Old Man Stan. That was the best gimmick ever. I never met that guy ever since then, but fucking hell, that was a great gimmick.
I remember he was doing it on commentary at the time, but it's like, yeah, it's my granddad. And it's like, the dude's clearly so much younger than you. But it's like,
obviously, by at least 10 years. I say that. Mikey's like a year or two older than me, so.
I was just like, that was awesome. It's just, that's the thing though, just when I was watching the Rumble, just the difference between some of the talent in there, it was crazy. But I suppose, you had 40, well, not 45 slots because people pulled double duty or whatever, but yeah, just the difference in some of the talent, it was crazy. It's just British wrestling like 11 years ago.
Yeah, and seeing myself there, like, I can see how much I've improved personally, both in my like stature, my posture, the way that I conduct myself, my ring gear as well. It's really surreal to see myself in like crushed velvet. I got that. I decided to stop wearing crushed velvet purely because I was such a fan of Chris Travis at the time.
Yeah, I think everybody had a thing for Chris Velvet because they said, if it makes Chris look good, he'll make everybody look good. So that's what Chris told me anyway. He says, the trend. I don't follow trends, I set them, as he used to say. So
the Sancho brothers as well. There was a bit in there at the start where they go to do the patter cake, and it's just total. They just mess up. I was just like, wow. The Sancho family.
Yeah, those two were, the Sanchos were basically Curtis Norman and a guy called Nick Mason, who made another appearance in that Rumble. He recently got out of hospital. Would you believe?
Yeah,
man. I saw he was a part of EBW, PPW, during last year before last for a little while, but then he had to give it up a little while because his health problems. But it looks like he's on the road to recovery, so who knows? He might come down to PPW again.
Yeah, he's doing a Twitch channel now. I had the great pleasure of telling him not to stream WWE Raw on Twitch other night. He didn't really realise that it was a non-copyright, and I said, "Don't show Raw. You'll get struck." And he's like, "Well, what's wrong with it?" I said, "Have you got permission to show WWE TV shows?" He went, "No." I said, "Get it off." So he's on a Twitch channel now. So
one of the reasons why I don't use Twitch, it has some really finicky rules about what you can and cannot share.
Tell me about it. Oh dear.
Anyway, gentlemen, any final stories you remember from the Rumble? Any closing stories you want to tell?
The one about the duct tape of that one particular guy. Do you want me to tell you that one?
Yes.
All right. Okay, I'm going to need a drink for this one. Water. I've got
I just remember. I mean, I think I just remember the fact that everybody was so welcoming to me. It would just start. I went, "Oh yeah, Dean, all right, man," and I sat down, and everything was like that. And saying, "How did you feel after your charity show and all that?" And I said, "Well, fine and all that." And everybody was like, "Oh yeah, great." I just remember there being the nicest setup, nicest thing ever. We're backstage and things. And just, I was like, I think I'm very, very respectful. And I tried, and somebody said, "Dean's very respectful." And I'm like, I don't know anything else. I don't want to cut an apple cart. I'm not going to come in and say, "Oh, I'm a superstar." I just sat there, put my gear on, and just going, and just being the quiet little fool. I mean, 40 odd years old, and just going, and just watching everything else. And
Yeah, I mean, I've been in wrestling.
Dream, so to speak, that one.
Yeah, I've been in wrestling for enough years to know that it can be a really funny business. Like, you can get heat for just doing the most stupidest, most simplest of things, even without really intending to. Other times, you can. It's not like being in the real world, But it is what it is. But I'm glad that you had a really good experience with it.
Thanks you.
The duct tape incident.
Duct tape.
Right.
Go on. I've got to do this.
Okay. Now, I want to preface this by saying that this guy it was a rib, and he kind of deserved it. Zeke, as his name is, was a trainee at EBW, and he'd been a trainee for other places as well before EBW was formed. And at the time that the Rumble happened, I basically tried my best to try and help him as best I can. And to be fair, there might have been similar difficulties with him that I had, as well as Aiden and a lot of other people had. But even they would say that Zeke was a jerk, simply put. It's one thing for people to be slow on the uptake, and that's perfectly fine. Nobody learns at the same rate. But this guy would get defensive, and he would, whenever he messed something up, and people tried to offer him criticism how he can improve himself. And it basically got to a point where quite a lot of people, they'd given up on him. I'd given up on him. And he basically he disrupted a lot of the training sessions that he was involved in, which pissed off a lot of people because there's only so many hours in the day. And if you have someone who's making the warm-ups and the workout sessions take a lot longer than they need to before you can really get into the meat and potatoes of a training session, it starts to grate on people for a while. And not everyone is patient enough to just hold their tongue or not do stuff. So and me being under the influence of the most old school man in wrestling, Sabotage, I decided I was going to have a bit of fun. But I wasn't going to do anything, untoward. I wasn't going to start beating the shit out of him. I wasn't going to start stretching him or anything like that, because when you do stuff like that, it kind of makes you look more of a dick. There's been plenty of incidences in wrestling, WWE and all that stuff, where people have taken liberties, and I'm not about that stuff. That's fucking way too far. And it's one of the few occasions where I've actually ribbed people, done a very practical rib in the ring. And basically, the idea that I had was, I think I must have gotten it from a cartoon, I think. But basically, I got this roll of duct tape, which was left over from me doing some work on the place where I was living at the time. And I put it under the ring before the show started. And at one point, I planned to basically put Zeke by the ring post and then duct tape him to it, which I did. And that's where that picture that I sent Nick just the other day comes from. And the thing that still tickles me, even to this day, is that the guy didn't really realize what I was doing until he realized that he couldn't get away from the turnbuckle post. And when I went over to the ring to Mark Sanders on commentary, I pointed it out, and as it said on the commentary, he was still doing his Yorkshire Lord Alfred Hayes voice, which is not his actual accent.
Yeah.
He was basically going, "I see what you did there, Radu. There's some human trafficking going on there. What are you going to do with him?" Now, me having been trolling Mark for the entirety of that night, I just decided to say with the classical Romanian Radu Bulat accent, well, I was thinking of sending him to some human traffickers, but I think he might be able to, build a couple of villas in Serbia, but I don't think I'm going to get much for sex slaving, to be honest with you. And I'm just kind of, I'm paraphrasing. I can't quite remember exactly. But Mark just kind of looked at me and he was like, well, there you have it, folks. He might not be much for a sex slave, that Zeke, but he will be building some villas back in Serbia. Yes. I did get talked to about that afterwards. Andy Hogg came up. Now, keep in mind that picture that I sent you was actually taken by his wife, Danielle. And she was giggling as I was doing the whole thing. And pretty much everyone I've ever spoken to about that has laughed about it. And when Andy came up to me, he did tell me not to do that again, but he said so in a way where he was obviously giggling as he was saying, it's like, please don't do that again. Please don't do that again. He could see the humor in it. The funniest reaction I got was actually from Sabotage. When I told him what I'd done, and he kind of looked at me and he said, "You should have just used cling film," which suggested that he might have done something like that himself at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, from experience.
Yeah. Well, what can I say? Sabotage was a bad influence on me. Maybe a good influence. I'm not too sure.
Fair both.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the thing that I just sort of said. Andy obviously had to be seen to be kind of telling you off, but appreciated it at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It was either going to be me or someone else that just was going to do something like that. But at least in my case, you could actually see the humor in it, and at least he came out of that okay. I've seen so many people over the years in both EBW and other promotions. I've seen some people when they get pissed off at someone, they start taking liberties with them, like chopping them in the corner and not giving a fuck how you hit them. Basically, I remember one dude, he had a cyst or something like that on his back, and he just kind of said, can you please make sure you don't touch that stuff. As soon as one dude get in the ring, pulled his fucking head down, wham, right on the back, right on the fucking cyst. Yeah, there's some pretty cuntish behaviour I've seen over the years, but that's not me.
No.
And it's very rare that I actually do rib people in that way. I can't even remember the last time I've done anything like that. I think that might have actually been the only time that I've ever ribbed people practically in the ring like that.
In fairness, dude, it's a bit of, like, say, you're not beating the crap out of somebody, you're not stretching somebody, you've ducked to take somebody to, the ring post. So it's not, you're not hurting them. It's just putting them in their place, shall we say?
Yeah. It's the same stuff you kind of used to do when you're in school, really.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, but just if it ever happens again, cling film.
You've got to do the cling film. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If I ever see you with cling film, dude, I'm running.
Yeah, I'll throw straight now. That'll be all over Facebook.
Okay, so here's a choice. Here's a choice, Nick. I'm in a ring. You're in the ring with me. Ooh. You have a choice of either this or cling film.
I'll tell you that.
You're saying the needle? Okay.
Yeah. Couple of aspirins. So
a couple of aspirins, good teeth.
I'm telling you, man, that's a T-shirt right there. Just a couple of aspirin, your teeth.
Yeah,
I'll consider it.
Yeah.
I've still got at least 2 or 3 other T-shirts designs that I need to put into fruition at one point. One of them I'm hoping to get sometime soon, but we'll see.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Here's the one that I've currently got for sale.
Yep, there you go. That's a beauty.
Yep. Send me a message, anyone watching this, if you want one. I've still got a fair few in stock. All sizes from small to triple XL. That's
your either scale of the British wrestling fan audience. Small.
Tesla, buy the merch.
Yes, buy the merch.
Yeah,
buy the merch. My daddy's man.
We will. I'll plug all that for you. I'll put the send me a link to where they can get it from, and I'll put it in the episode description. So if you're watching this, click in description. There's your link. Go buy some merch.
It's on my Big Cartel site, but it's also you can just get it to me by messaging me on either my Facebook fan page or on Instagram, or you can even message me on Twitter. One of those three. I'll probably respond.
There we go, gentlemen. It's been awesome. It has been. Like I say, it was an experience to watch it. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk about it. Thank you. It's both your guys doing. You both had the idea to do this episode, so thank you both.
My pleasure. It's been awesome.
Yeah. Also, great to see you again, Deano.
And you. It's great to see you as well. Yeah.
Right. Hit like, hit subscribe, share, comment, do your normal stuff you do after watching an episode. Keep your eyes peeled. Whilst I'm here, shout out to Fast Count as well, who sponsor the episodes. Keep your eyes on them for some awesome t-shirts that are coming out soon. And we'll see you again very, very soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Oosh.
Right, guys, give me 2 secs. Oh. Boo.